Hey everyone, Brandon here from TruckSafe. CSA scores are a big deal for regulated motor carriers. High scores can lead to increased insurance premiums, lost business, and heightened exposure in highway accident litigation. So keeping your scores as low as possible is key, but how exactly do you do that? That's what we're tackling in this video, so stay tuned. Do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button below if you find this type of content helpful. So the million-dollar question that every fleet wants answered is, how do I improve my CSA scores? Although the answer is pretty straightforward, it's unfortunately not what most fleets want to hear. Lowering your CSA scores and keeping them low takes time and effort. There is no magic bullet. There are, however, proven steps you can take to improve your scores. But first, it's important that you understand what exactly CSA scores are and how they are calculated. Now, in a prior video, we broke down exactly how FMCSA calculates CSA scores, so if you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out. But from a high level, it's important to know that the FMCSA calculates a carrier's CSA scores, also known as Safety Measurement System or SMS scores, with data gathered through roadside inspections, crashes, and investigations occurring within the past 24 months. Violations discovered through inspections and/or investigations are assigned to one of 7 categories known as basics, and then they are weighted based in part on their severity and how recently they occurred. Each carrier's performance is then evaluated against similarly situated motor carriers in each of the basics, and the carrier is then assigned a percentile score in each of those basics. A score of 80% in any category, for example, indicates that the carrier is performing worse than 80% of its peers in that particular category. So the primary purpose of the CSA and SMS systems are to prioritize carriers for enforcement action. With this in mind, the FMCSA has set what it calls intervention thresholds in each of the basics. These thresholds are expressed in percentile form, and if a carrier's CSA score exceeds the intervention threshold in a particular basic on a given month, the carrier score will show a warning triangle, and the carrier will be at an increased risk for intervention, usually in the form of warning letters, safety audits, increased numbers of inspections, and even civil penalties. The intervention thresholds differ for each of the basics, and they're based upon whether the carrier hauls hazmat or passengers or not. Typical thresholds are 65% and 80%. Also, as I said earlier, carriers with high CSA scores tend to have higher insurance premiums and more difficulty landing premium freight. For all of these reasons, it's critically important that fleets keep their CSA scores as low as possible. But how? Ultimately, CSA scores improve one of 2 ways. The first way is organically, over time. If CSA scores are a function of the number and the types of violations or crashes that your fleet has incurred over the past 24 months, then it follows that those scores should improve over time as older violations fall off of your account and you incur no new ones or less weighty ones to take their place. In fact, this is the primary way that CSA scores improve. Of course, this is easier said than done. Despite this being the main way scores improve, it's the one that nobody likes to accept because it takes time and it takes effort. Too often, carriers are looking for that quick fix. They're losing business and are desperate for a way to improve their scores. Unfortunately, that's just not how this works. At its root, CSA is designed to identify and punish patterns of non-compliance. And the only way, aside from the DataQs option, which we'll talk about in a minute, to right the ship, so to speak, is to eliminate those patterns. To do so, you got to first understand what those patterns are and then prioritize them for correction. For example, let's say I'm struggling in the hours of service category. In order to fix that score, I need to first understand exactly what is causing that score to be elevated. To do so, I need to understand how to utilize the safety measurement system and see who is incurring violations and what types of violations they are incurring. Fortunately, SMS is a fairly intuitive system to use, and it provides a wealth of helpful data. By simply navigating to the hours of service section of my SMS account, I can quickly see what types of violations are weighing most heavily on my hours of service score. In this example, you can see that this carrier's drivers are incurring several record of duty status not current and false log violations. In SMS, I can take that a step further and see who specifically are causing these issues so that I can then address them with them and work to prevent the same violations from occurring in the future. So once you understand what types of violations are weighing most heavily on your scores and who is causing the most problems, you can start to put together a game plan for addressing these issues and preventing them from reoccurring in the future. Now, this is where the work really comes in, and it's where so many carriers fail. It does little good to know where you have gaps if you don't take it the next step and earnestly work to fill those gaps. In short, understanding your deficiencies and then prioritizing them for improvement is how you improve your CSA scores organically over time. Now, as you start to work to fix the issues that are leading to the violations roadside, then you will naturally begin to incur fewer of those violations, which in time will drive down your scores. Okay, so the only other way that CSA scores improve is through what's called the DataQs system. Now, we've done a more detailed video on that topic, which you may want to check out. Suffice it to say, I'm often surprised how many carriers either don't know about or don't use the FMCSA's DataQs system. Now, this system exists within the larger CSA program, and it's the exclusive means by which motor carriers can contest erroneous information or violations that are placed on their SMS account. For example, if you have a reason to believe that an officer incorrectly assessed a violation during a roadside inspection, you can file a DataQs appeal of that violation, providing any information or documentation in your possession that supports your case, and if you're successful, have that violation removed from your scores. Likewise, you can use the system to challenge the preventability of certain types of accidents and potentially have them removed from your scores as well. The DataQs system is free and it's easy to use and is available online. If you're closely watching your SMS data and filing smart and successful DataQs appeals when the situation warrants it, your CSA scores will improve as those violations are removed from your scores. Okay, so that's going to wrap things up for this video. Well, there's no magic bullet to improve your CSA scores. There are proven techniques to help lower your scores over time. By keeping careful watch on your roadside inspection and accident data through your SMS account, and then taking swift and deliberate action to curb any negative trends that you see, you will naturally keep your scores in check. If you need any assistance analyzing your SMS data and developing a plan to improve your scores, feel free to reach out to us through our website at trucksafe.com. And for even more in-depth information about these types of regulatory topics, be sure to check out our innovative online compliance courses for safety managers and drivers over at trucksafeacademy.com. Also, be sure to follow us on our various social media pages for the latest highway transportation news and analysis. Thanks for watching.